Hi folks, welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Replay contest rolls ever onwards. We've finally gotten onto the light tank section, but before we get the content itself started, I just wanted to quickly, or as quickly as I'm ever capable of talking about something, try to quickly address some concerns that a lot of you seem to have been having about the previous two categories, heavy tanks and tank destroyers. And some of you have been expressing concern that your replays haven't been shown yet. Some of you have even been expressing concern that your replay didn't win. To the very, very few of you who have been asking why your replay didn't win, well, all I really have to say is my money, my contest. If you don't like it, tough shit. To the more reasonable amongst you who have been expressing concern that they sent in what they thought was a really, really good replay, and it hasn't actually been shown in any of the roundups, I just want to, reassure you guys. There's three possible reasons why you may not have seen a replay of your own submitted in any of the roundups so far. The first reason could be that I just didn't receive it, but that's pretty unlikely. The second reason could be that I did receive it, but I didn't like it, although that is also pretty unlikely. Now, there have been games sent in that I thought were, that sucked. That was crap. And I just deleted. But very, very few. Percentage, maybe 2% at the most of the replays that were sent in fell into that category. The overwhelming majority were good games. Now, the third and far more likely reason why you may not have seen your replay included in any of these roundups so far is that I did get it, I did like it, but I just didn't have time. And if I didn't consider your replay to be among the best of the best, good enough to make it into the runners-up or possibly the winner, then I may still have it. And when I say the best, this is purely subjective. I mean, I'm not picking the guy who got the most kills. I'm not picking the guy who did the most damage. I'm showing you the replays that were sent in to me that I thought were the most entertaining and exciting to watch. And that is the only criteria. And what do I consider exciting? Depends entirely on the game. Depends on what you do, on what the enemy tanks do, on how you react to what the enemy tanks are doing. You don't have to be the most skillful player, you don't have to get the most kills, you just have to play an interesting game that I find entertaining to watch. And the vast majority of you did that. But time was ticking on. Heavy tanks in particular, there were a huge number of heavy tank replays that I just didn't have time to show. Because the contest deadline was the 31st of October. It's now the 7th of December, and I've only announced 2 winners. I need to get things moving. Heavy tanks in particular, I had to announce a winner and then just stop showing roundups. But I didn't get rid of these replays. I still have them. I've got a fun games folder on my hard drive, and there are just short of 300 excellent replays sitting in that folder. I have a epic fail replay folder for those guys who sent in the games where they did absolutely everything they possibly could, 7, 8, 9, 10 kills, and still their team managed to lose. If that sounds like one of the games you sent in, there's a very, very good chance it's sitting in that replay folder, and so on and so on and so on. So just because you haven't seen a replay yet doesn't mean you're not going to. And hopefully, that puts this issue to rest for now and forever. Although, who am I kidding? It's the internet. As soon as I announce the light tank winner, I'm going to have to repeat this whole thing again. Anyway, speaking of light tanks, let's get started. This is Glass Bomb and his VK2801 in an encounter battle on the Magic Forest of Muravanka. Now, I've only ever driven this thing on the test servers. It's just one of those tanks that the grind to get it is just far too painful. I'd have to play the Leopard, and I really, really didn't enjoy the Leopard. If I had enough free experience, I'd get one of these things in a heartbeat, but I don't, and I have other things to spend my free experience on. But I do enjoy watching people play these things. Now he seems to have the 105mm derp gun, the howitzer. You can usually tell by the short stubby barrel. There is a 75mm gun for this tank, which you don't often see people using, but there are people who do use it. But the 105mm howitzer seems to be the popular choice. You can basically one-shot artillery with that gun and cause serious problems. It's relatively rapid firing for a howitzer as well. Okay, there's the initial burst of fire faded down when all the guys who are trying to win the suicide lottery claim their winning tickets. They've lost a 38 NA and a Jag Panther. We've lost a couple of tier 5 mediums. So yeah, that sounds like a fair trade. And Glass Bomb is just... he's trying to do the whole scout thing. You've got a T-25 moving across the middle of an open field over there, getting the crap kicked out of him. Oh, it's going both ways here. There you go. Look at that. 377 damage on a Tiger. 109 off the front of the turret of a T-29. It's the unpredictability of the results when you're firing shells out of this gun that a lot of people really go for. There you go. Am I going to do 100 damage or am I going to do 300 damage? Who knows? Oh, 69 damage. That was pretty crap. Must have hit a well-armoured spot. Actually, wonder what the ammunition choices are for this gun. High explosive anti-tank, and what's the third? Does this thing get an armor-piercing round? I don't know. We've hit them hard. They're hit. It's quite surprising that Glass Bomb hasn't actually been shot at yet. That Su-85 has had a turkey shoot. Again, he's not killed anybody, but he's been doing some damage. Su-85. Disappointing. Could have done so much more damage, just didn't penetrate his armour. HE just bounced off his surface. But you're always going to do some damage with these howitzers. It just depends whether or not you're going to reach the damage potential that you're interested in. So the game so far hasn't actually been that impressive. But now, both teams have been beaten up, some tanks have been eliminated, and now there's big old gaps in the defences, and now, you know, instead of just trying to win the suicide lottery ticket in the first minute of the game, as you see, oh, he spotted both their artillery. Oh yes! Now this is what I'm talking about. If there's one thing that the VK2801 excels at better than probably any other tier 5 light tank, it's doing this to artillery. Broken contact, where's the Hummel? He was over there somewhere. There he is. Hummels and GW Panthers probably give 2801 drivers the biggest problems because they're so manoeuvrable, but you only have to hit them once. Oh, and we're capping. We've got 3 tanks in the cap circle. Our artillery very, very intelligently deployed, way out of the start zone because there's nobody left defending the forest, and that is almost certainly where the rest of the enemy team are. 281 is very, very fast, but it just doesn't accelerate that well. It tends to bleed off speed in the corners as well. Theoretical top speed, same as the T50-2, and it will reach that top speed. But physics, there we go, crashed into that tractor. Oh, here we go. Now that's what you do with high explosive howitzers. And the T-34-85 and Dickermax are not the best armoured machines in the game either. I think the Dickermax has got 40 at the most, although I have had some amazing bounces off the gun mantle of the Dickermax. Look at that, nearly 400 damage. He's behind you. Oh, you lucky bastard. Well, the Dickermax took the Tiger down with him, with a spectacular ammo rack shot. So, well played, Dickermax. But it was a case of too little, too late. Look at this, artillery have sent the blood in the water now. Even the artillery are closing in on the T-34-85. Are we going to get him before we cap? It's entirely possible. Base captured 100%, and he rams him to death. Oh, well, that was a worthy victory. Yeah, and 5 kills. That's not bad at all. So I hope that's whetted your appetite for the light tank section of the replay contest. What we got next? Well, next up we've got Bobbytoe93 in his Valentine. This is the Russian Valentine. It's patch 7.4, so it's long before the British were introduced. This is the Russian Lend-Lease version of the Valentine, Tier 4 Russian light tank. And the Valentine in a Tier 4 game, which this is, it's a Tier 4 standard battle on Himmelsdorf. It's a lot like the AMX-40. It's a little bit overpowered and just impossible to kill. A lot like the AMX-40 is in a Tier 4 game. And what Bobby's doing here is basically there's himself and a medium tank and a largely ineffectual T127. So effectively just Bobby and this medium here, which are holding off 5 enemy tanks, including one of their heavies. And they just cannot kill him. Now the reverse is true, because he just has a real hard time killing them too, because the gun on the Valentine is definitely not its strong point. The penetration is adequate. That B1's not stupid though, he's angled well. But the damage output is very, very weedy on this gun. It's not a very good gun at all. And what you tend to find on the Valentine is your driver gets killed a lot. If you have a look at the frontal armour, there, right where the driver's hatch is, that's the only real flat piece of armour on this tank. And the Valentine ain't the fastest machine in the world. And there's the T127 just going out to die. There he goes, he's dead. Now he's using first aid kit to get his driver back up. But the driver just keeps getting killed in this thing. And this thing with the dead driver it's going to hurt. And that looked like a high explosive shot, which failed to do any damage from that M2 medium. And he's leaving that corner there to the Panzer III and the Lorraine 39. And he's going to get this M2 that's attempting to outflank. Pay particular attention, by the way, to this clusterfuck here in the Panzer 38 NA, who's not left the base the entire game. He's going to prove crucial later on. You'll see what I mean. Oh, T28. So look at the damage output, 42, 59. It's rapid firing, and the penetration, as I say, the penetration isn't bad. I mean, it's sufficient. But the actual damage output of the gun is just very weedy. It is a lot like the AMX-40. Put it in a Tier 4 game and they're like cockroaches, you just cannot kill the little bastards. speed things up here, because it's not the fastest tank in the world, and with a dead driver, just forget it. So we're going to watch the rest of this at double speed, and I might even have to go up to faster than that at one point. You'll know what I mean when you see it. Right, he eventually kills the Lorraine, and now they're being capped, and this Panzer 38, well, he's basically being forced. He's not actually AFK. He's just sitting in the base, and he's defending himself against enemy tanks that come to cap. So that's all he's doing. And this right here is why I've sped things up to double speed, because this could go on all day. A Valentine and an AMX-40 exchanging fire. And the reason that Lorraine hasn't come around to dirk the AMX in the back is because a T-46 is just about to kill it. 6 shots, 5 shots, 4 shots, 3 shots, 2 shots, 2 shots left. Killed the T-46. Now, this Panzer 38 has defended himself from the enemy who were trying to cap, but he's still just sitting there, and he ain't going to move. So I'm going to leave things running at double speed. Bobby only has 2 shots left. He must have put 40 into that AMX-40 and just couldn't kill him. And now there's 2 of them. And that shot penetrates and fails to do damage, and that shot bounces. And now he's out of ammunition with 2 enemy tanks in front of him. And this other Panzer 38 he's not AFK. He just doesn't care. He's got 2 kills, but he hasn't moved the entire game. He's still sitting in the base. And look at this. This is one of the most bizarre games I have ever seen. Well, if either of these guys had any sense, they'd be trying to flank this Valentine. But they're not. Or perhaps the AMX-40 is, but it's really slow too. And a Valentine going in reverse with a dead driver is almost as fast as the AMX-40 going forward. So Bobby knows he can't afford to let these guys make a sandwich out of him. But even shooting at his flank, they're having a hard time getting through his armour. And this just, perfectly illustrates some of the absurdities of low-tier games. Okay, the Panzer 38 has finally started moving. And he's going around. Looks like he was going to go ahead cap. And he's turned to kill. This is getting boring, so we'll just watch what's going on down here. Yeah, he's beating the crap out. Okay, there we go. Now it's 2-on-1. So surely this will be easy. You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? Back to normal speed. Now, Panzer 38 isn't going to have an easier time penetrating an AMX-40 than the Valentine did. The smarter thing to do here would be for the 38 to go and cap, and Bobby can just constantly do little bits of ramming damage to reset the AMX-40's cap. But this guy just keeps... What are you doing? He keeps coming out and showing his flank to this AMX-40's gun. Look, don't... Please use your brain. Now is he going to go around? Is he going to go and cap? Is this game ever going to end? And he's changed his mind, he's coming back again. Make your mind up, for Christ's sakes. It's just bouncing. But you know, you see a tank on 29 health. Oh, is somebody please kill somebody? Oh, finally. God, that was hard work. And look at this. 87 hits received. He hit the target 55 times. Unfortunately, 40 of those were bouncers off this AMX-40. That was just the most bizarre game I have ever seen. Can you imagine if this guy had stayed AFK and it was just him being unable to kill him and him having no ammo left, and even if he did have ammo, being unable to penetrate him, and it would have just been this guy driving around the cap circle with him chasing after him, trying to ram him, do 3 or 4 damage and reset the cap every time. Can you imagine what that game would have been like? So there we go, Bobby293 in one of the weirdest games I've ever watched in his Valentine, Lend-Lease version of the Valentine, the Tier 4 Russian light tank. Well, it wouldn't be a light tank roundup without T50-2 now, would it? So here's Blackshot 1 from the North American server in his T50-2 with the 57mm ZIS-4 gun. It's an encounter battle on steps, as we can see while looking at the map. So let's see what Blackshot's made of. Generally speaking, if you survive a battle in your T50-2, you've usually had a good game. It's difficult to have a boring game when you're driving one of these tanks. Oh, look at that. Well, there's the scout medal in the bag, without even trying. And notice he's not suicide scouting. He's not charging on through, looking for artillery. Now, a lot of people who drive these scout tanks, they get into a game where there's no artillery, or a game like this where there's only one artillery, and they immediately think, oh, waste of time me being here. Well, you know, you're not just spotting for artillery. There are other things on your team that have guns. We call them tanks and tank destroyers. They like to know where to point the guns to. And that is exactly what Blackshot is doing. Oh, look at that skid. Now, this could be dangerous. ELC AMX. Well, it could be dangerous, but probably won't be. Right, 2 of them. M5 with the howitzer. ELC. Well, you could stay here getting shot at by both of these guys. Oh, bit of a dirt moment there. Not watching where he's going. I don't know how he missed that rock. Well, he didn't miss that rock, he hit it. I don't know how he missed seeing that rock. But rather than dueling 2 enemy light tanks in the middle of an open field, it's just a much better idea to lead them back towards your guns. The M5 fell for it, the ELC didn't. You've got to be so careful driving one of these things at high speed since patch 8 came out and introduced physics. It's so easy to rip your own tracks off from skidding around the place. And the ELC, also a tier 5 light tank, it doesn't have that problem to the same degree that the T50 and the VK2801 do, because it's so much lower profile. Its centre of gravity is so much lower to the ground. It doesn't tend to skid around the place like these tanks do, especially if you start making high speed turns. Hummel's fired. Surprised our artillery isn't. Well, you do. He's aiming for his. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, this Hummel knows what he's doing, getting himself into a corner. Or you can at least keep his gun pointing towards us. That was dangerous. Oh, and so is this.
We didn't penetrate their armor. That one didn't go through. He's gone. Find another target.
And there goes that power slide again. It's like playing Ridge Racer. M6, which way is his gun pointing? The other way. Okay, good.
We nailed them back. We've hit them hard.
You can afford to be aggressive in one of these tanks, as long as nobody's pointing their gun at you.
We finished them off.
Most of the rest of the time, you just have to be really sneaky. Well, that's not strictly true. You can have a lot of success with these little buggers driving aggressively rather than playing aggressively, if that makes any sense. Because this thing's got the speed and the maneuverability to really just wreak havoc on an advancing enemy force. Because it's a significant threat that it could really push out the damage. The penetration isn't bad at all on that 57mm gun. While the damage output is low, the rate of fire is immensely good.
Looks like that one went right
And you
through.
can just nickel and dime somebody to death, just like this. And if you're buzzing around on the flanks of an enemy attack force,
That's gotta
just
hurt.
zipping in and out and taking pot shots like this, they can't afford to ignore you. Because if they do ignore you, like this, you kill them.
Bounced off. We didn't even scratch them. Looks like that one
And if you give that gun time to aim,
enemy vehicle
it's surprisingly accurate.
That's gotta hurt.
KV-2 and T-29 hiding from a Panther. Believe in that M10 alone. Seriously?
We nailed it bad.
We've seriously got a T-50-2 chasing down a Tier 7 medium tank while
Enemy armor is hit.
Well, all these guys were hiding behind a rock from him. Oh, and now they move up. Now it's safe, yeah.
Penetration.
T-52's got your back. Don't worry, you guys can move up now.
Enemy is hit.
What were they afraid of? I just don't get it. Well, all we got left is KV-1, and now he's dead too. So that was Scout, Master Tanker, Sharpshooter. Without a premium account, that was 1700 experience, believe it or not, for Blackshot 1 in his T-50-2. And that, ladies and gents, brings this particular light tank replay roundup to a close. Plenty more where this one came from. So, as always, take care on the battlefield, and I will catch you next time.